serious. What are some women's issues that are overlooked? Attention. Serious. Tag notice, jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Hysterectomies. I am 24 and have reoccurring fibroid tumors and have since I was a teenager. It's not typical for someone my age to have multiple and large fibroids. My largest one was 11 centimeters. They are painful and I'm about to have my second surgery to remove them. I don't want to keep doing this over and over and would like to have a hysterectomy, yet my surgeon refuses because I'm young and might want children. If I get pregnant, I have a high risk of miscarriage. It will eat me alive if that happens to me. I have a fibroid that grew like a blood-sucking vampire when I finally managed to get pregnant after 5 years of trying. Due to the fibroid, I had to be monitored by a major children's hospital until they were sure I could deliver safely. I also had a miscarriage and there was some mention of the fibroid at that time again. Its placement was an issue. I've never hated anything so much. One small fibroid brought me years of misery. I imagine I'll develop more of them as the years go on. Periods are often painful too, so I hope a hysterectomy will be an option if I need it. I fucking hate hormonal birth control. I've tried almost every type and they all magically mess me up in different ways. It seems to either makes me so nauseated and wrecks my GI system, it completely kills my sex drive, or it makes me suicidal. I really want my tubes tied but I'm super scared of surgery. I wish there were more non-hormonal options or more options for men. Plus every time I complained about the side effects it was "Oh, are you sure it's the BC? Most people handle it just fine." Please shut up. I started getting minor ovarian cysts when I was in high school. But after my kiddo was born everything kicked into high gear and I was in constant pain. After years of being experimented on with birth control to control it, I had to beg a doctor to do a laparoscopy to find out once and for all what was going on. They found endometriosis and a cyst that was about half the size of my ovary, and the doctor still acted like I was a hypochondriac who had wasted her time. Years later I actually found a doctor that specialized in PCOS. And he realized that the birth control I went on after my pregnancy is what messed with my hormone levels in the first place. My kiddo was in high school by the time I had an actual answer and effective treatment. I am in constant pain. I've lost 2 jobs. My original gyno refused to do any more than medication, or Lisa made me suicidal. I'm now on narcotics to manage the pain, but it's not enough. I'm seeing a specialist at the end of the month. I just want a hysterectomy at this point. I'm 32. I desperately wanted a child of my own, but at this point, having a baby when it hurts to have sex in the first place is completely out of the question. I can't even have a single orgasm without being in pain, and that's from clitoral stimulation. Penetrative sex is legitimately painful and then becomes more so if I do manage to have an orgasm. My marriage is rocky. My husband is frustrated because he's struggling to care for me and pay the bills. I'm struggling to just exist. My mental health is trash. My psychiatrist refused to change my medications, so now I have to see a different one. And because I'm unemployed, lost my job again on this past Monday, I can't pay for my health insurance. And if the pain becomes unbearable, I have to sit down and figure out if I can afford $750 for a shot of morphine at the emergency room. The majority of the urgent cares in the area are non-opioid, so the best they can offer me is Toradol. I'm sick and tired of being in pain. I've never been this depressed in my life and I've lost 2 parents in the span of a year, watched them both die. right in front of me. And the ensuing depression was nothing compared to this. I'm losing the will to live because I do nothing but suffer every day. I can't find the joy in life anymore. I don't just go and off myself because that will break my husband, but I know I'm a burden right now and there's nothing I can do about it until a doctor approves the surgery. Also, just health and medical issues in general. You have to be a personification of a tsunami to get taken seriously about medical issues. And some people don't even know about diseases like endometriosis, PCOS, and etc. due to lack of health, sex education, and also for mental health and just emotions as well, which I have more experience with than physical health issues. I have been told because I've been angry, irritated, depressed, etc. because of hormones, I'm on my period, and etc. by family members. It's fucking irritating, invalidating, and demeaning. And not to mention it's even worse for women. Oral contraceptive birth control pills can cause depression and very often do. I really wish this were discussed more. I struggled with depression and anxiety for years throughout my early 20s. I stopped taking birth control and it just vanished. I almost couldn't believe the difference it made. Even my colleagues noticed how much my demeanor had improved. A lot of my friends have stopped taking it too with similar experiences. None of us feel the need to go back. Additionally, my friend struggled with migraines for years and no doctor ever suggested that PC could be the cause, but she hasn't had one since she stopped taking them years ago. I don't know why nobody ever suggested it. I know the pill has been incredibly useful for women to have better control over their bodies and can be very helpful to some. I just wish they had talked through it more when prescribing. The only thing I was worried about was that I'd gain weight on them. PMS and PMDD+1. Lots of times these are taken as lightly as just few days feeling non-controllable or uncomfortable or outraged wife, girlfriend because of hormone. These syndromes should be recognized by everyone, taken seriously, and one should always be encouraged to seek for professional help. The other thing is the hygiene products for periods. These should really be discussed openly, but I feel people still kinda hiding it from public because periods are dirty and secret. Specifically, a lot of times men are undereducated about these. Not their fault. Our society did not really encourage them to start with. I had adenomyosis and PMDD and struggled with both for 11 years. I was considering suicide, was vomiting and passing out constantly, and was considered anemic because I was losing so much blood. I went to 12 different doctors who refused to do anything about it. I finally had a hysterectomy, but now I'm in therapy because the whole thing was so traumatic that it severely emotionally impacted me, because I was told for over a decade that a hypothetically child I didn't want was more important than me actively wanting to end my life because I was in constant excruciating pain. I remember reading about the 3 holes once and commenting with a friend, girl too, at school, and her calling me dumb for believing such nonsense, telling everyone I thought we had 3 holes and ganging up with other girls, so I ended up being the joke for a good long while. Fast forward many years, me in my mid-30s watching Big Mouth and feeling vindicated by the fucking public service that TV series is doing for teens. Seriously, my partner was confused at my reaction. I'm glad I wasn't the only one, lol. Studies have shown that most young girls around age 7 can name male genitalia but don't have the language for their own body parts. There are reasons why memes exist about men not being able to find a clitoris and women who don't masturbate. Ladies, take control of your sexuality as soon as you're aware. It will set you free in ways you'll be thanking God for later. Figure out what you like in bed however you feel comfortable, and then don't settle for less. Buy as many sex toys as you damn please, and don't feel guilty to take care of yourself as much as you like. I can't recommend Planned Parenthood enough for these situations. You can sign up for whatever you need online, and they not only do it without judging you and asking invasive questions. Instead, they ask empathetic questions to make sure that you're safe in your relationship and are in overall good health. I was having serious side effects, bleeding 4x more than usual, from my id. My primary care physician shrugged it off and blamed it on my diet. so I went to PP. The doctor at Planned Parenthood listened to my issues and said, "Of course it's the id," and took it out without any further invasion. And guess what, y'all? It was the fucking id. When I was a kid, 12-ish, I was very sick. My pediatrician was on maternity leave, so a male doctor was filling in for her. My mom kept taking me to the doctor and he kept saying I was trying to skip school and that my mom should stop falling for my act. To be fair, I did feign illness to skip school a lot as a kid, but this time I was genuinely terribly sick. I could barely hold my own head up. I kept getting worse. Doctor kept flip-flopping between saying it was a cold and saying I was faking. I felt so sick I couldn't even get off the couch. I wasn't eating, barely drinking. Then one night my mom woke up with a bad feeling in her gut, found me asleep on the couch, unresponsive, barely breathing. She took me to the where they said I'd had severe pneumonia for several weeks and it went untreated because the doctor didn't believe me or my mom. The doctors at the hospital told my mom I probably would have died that night if she didn't wake up to check on me when she did. My lungs are permanently damaged and function at less than half capacity now. Almost 15 years later, I cannot laugh for more than a minute without my lungs filling with fluid. And you can forget about running or doing any moderate exercise. I also had to be put on such strong medications that they destroyed my stomach lining and gave me acid reflux that lasted several years. This. I was going through maxi pads every 20 minutes or so but couldn't get in to see my regular doctor. He was booked up for days, but he refused to put in a referral for again without seeing him. Every woman on here knows going to the with a menstrual problem is useless. Also, likely to cost thousands. To be useless, you'll get sent home with a script for Vicodin and an ice pack, told to use a heating pad, etc. I finally just went into his office and waited in the lobby until the gals worked me into the schedule. He wrote me a damn referral and I saw again the next day. Within an hour I had an ultrasound and about an hour after that a DX of adenomyosis. Never even heard of it before that. And within a few days an emergency hysterectomy scheduled. This is how stupid women's skin problems are handled in the USA. And I was lucky, I managed to get emergency surgery within a week for uncontrollable bleeding and my new GIN's office strong-armed my insurance to get multiple miracles happen to get emergency approvals done. I will stick to that GIN until I die. She saved my life. When my husband insisted on going to the for what he insisted was a heart attack. Even though I explained to him and showed him online that he had no heart attack symptoms, they did a bunch of tests and admitted him overnight. It was nothing. As I said, he didn't even have any symptoms of a problem. I had 2 female co-workers turned away from hers for their abdominal pain and told it was nothing. One finally managed to get someone to take it seriously before her appendix burst. The other did suffer a burst appendix and was laid up for a long time with the subsequent peritonitis. My sister died of a misdiagnosis of her abdominal pain. Granted, she had a rare condition that had gone undiagnosed, but even her own husband gave her shit on the last night of her life, saying she just wasn't following the doctor's orders and drinking enough water. Her kidneys had shut down and she had sepsis. More water wasn't going to do a damn thing. Every woman has to be her own health advocate. I was 16 when I was told by my doctor I was a hypochondriac because I told them that every night I was throwing up. My parents believed them. Being 16, I believed them. I ended up in therapy and I just stopped telling people I was throwing up because I was so ashamed that it was all in my mind. I stopped eating because it hurt. I remember in health class we all checked our BMI and I was at 17, and when I asked my teacher if that was okay, they said it was a bit low but it's okay because I didn't look underweight. This went on for months before my mom found me near passed out in the bathroom. The ambulance came and took me to the hospital where they found I had gallstones that had traveled, and as a reaction to that, I developed hyperthyroidism. I ended up spending about a month in hospital. I needed 3 surgeries to remove all the stones. Oh, and when I went to a different doctor when I was pregnant because I couldn't hold down anything, they said, without doing any checkup or anything that I didn't look like I was losing too much weight, so they weren't going to prescribe me anything. I ended up in hospital because I was throwing up water. I hate going to doctors. Perinatal mental health disorders in general. I think people think it's only PPD, but there are a whole host of issues beyond just that. There's prenatal, postpartum anxiety, prenatal, postpartum OCD, and more. The OCD one is so sad in particular because it often comes with really disturbing intrusive thoughts, frequently involving harming or sexually abusing your own infant. People are so ashamed. They don't ask for help. Bottom line, if you feel off, ask for help and don't stop asking for help until you get it. Sadly, some providers won't take patients seriously, so you must really advocate for yourself. I had PPA. It was so scary. I had a C-section and my mom and husband took off 2 weeks after the baby was born, but at that point I was still in a ton of pain and had only just started being able to pick up my baby without crying from it. Everyone went back to work and I was alone and so tired and still hobbling around. My back hurt. My abdomen hurt. My brain was a mess. My husband came home one day and found me just staring into space, dead-eyed, baby beside me in the dock-a-tot. I was mid-spiral thinking I am such a bad mom. I am going to fuck up. The baby will die and it will be my fault. I am such a bad mom. I am going to fuck up. Baby was fed, diapered, and completely fine. I was doing great. I was just stuck in a spiral and I felt so scared. I wouldn't let myself nap while he was safe in his crib because I had to watch him sleep. I waited every day until my husband was home and then passed out, but only 2 hours at a time so the baby could eat. No one warned me. No one assured me I might feel this way and I would end up okay. I'm never having another bio kid for many reasons, but that's one of them. I had psychosis a year after having my kid and the doctors said it couldn't be related to postpartum because I was too far out from giving birth. This was despite me telling them my son barely slept and wasn't sleeping through the night. They prescribed me a bunch of psychiatric meds and sent me on my way. The hallucinations didn't stop until my son started sleeping way more at about 2 years old. I think a lot of PP disorders are linked to the lack of sleep and the lack of a village to help raise a child. I was completely on my own when I had my kid and I know many women that are in the same boat. The lack of resources for women raising an infant, in the US, a time period that is extremely stressful under normal circumstances, is really telling when so many women end up having some sort of PTSD when reflecting on this first year of their child's life. In my country, Bangladesh, women are blamed for everything wrong that happens. For example, if a girl marries a guy and after years the guy dies of a disease or something, people will say the girl ate the guy, meaning anyone who marries the girl will die. Another example is that when women are sexually assaulted, people say stuff like, why did the girl go in front of guys? Why did the girls go out at night? Why did the girl wear short dresses in front of guys? Stop. This is what Asian girls need to go through. I hope one day girl blaming will come to an end. Even if you wear the burqa. If you get raped in your burqa, they will tell you that the burqa you are wearing is not proper. They have designs or gems in them which tempted the rapist. Remember the Feeney rape case where a girl got burned to death by her classmates for reporting the sexual abuse of their principal? They marched in support for the principal and people in the internet pointed out the victim was not wearing a proper burqa. Same thing for the Camila Cantonment rape case. Victim gets raped and killed. People blames her even though she was wearing a hijab. Their argument was the hijab she was wearing was not a proper one but a fashionable one which tempted the rapists. Our country is a hellhole. I'm a dude, and this will probably get buried, but I hate the fact that when I'm doing something with my longtime GF like buying a new car, renting a new apartment, taking a loan etc. that people ignore my GF and assume she is just not important. They just look at me and talk only to me. I have to make an effort to include her in something she should be in from the start. I feel so bad for her and try to amend it as much as I can. but there is not much you can do. We were at the car dealer's the other day looking at the car and the dealer kept ignoring her and her wishes. He was only looking at me and assumed she doesn't know what she is talking about. We just left.